today we dedicate Republic Kannada to the people of Karnataka. With this partnership, Republic Media Network is now the largest news network in India. People of this country know that whichever language we go to, we are speaking for the people 24/7.
As India's biggest news network enters the South market.
ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡ ಹೊಸತನದ ಬದಲಾವಣೆಯ ಚಳವಳಿಗೆ ನಾಂದಿ ಹಾಡಲಿದೆ. ಯಾವ ಭಾಷೆಯೇ ಆಗಿರಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಚಾನೆಲ್ ಪ್ರಸಾರ ಅಲ್ಲಿನ ಜನರ ಮೇಲೆ ನೇರ ಪರಿಣಾಮ ಬೀರುತ್ತದೆ ಹಾಗೂ ಅತಿ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ತರುತ್ತದೆ. ನಮಗೆ ದೇಶವೇ ಮೊದಲು. ದೇಶಕ್ಕಿಂತ ದೊಡ್ಡದು ನಮಗೆ ಯಾವುದೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಪ್ರಥಮ ಆದ್ಯತೆಯೇ ದೇಶದ ಒಗ್ಗಟ್ಟು. ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯ ಜನರಿಗೆ ಧ್ವನಿ ಆಗಿರುವುದೇ ನಮ್ಮ ಅತಿ ದೊಡ್ಡ ನಂಬಿಕೆ. ನಮ್ಮದು ಕೇವಲ ಒಂದು ಚಾನೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಮದು ಒಂದು ಚಳವಳಿ. ರಾಜ್ಯ ಮೊದಲು, ದೇಶ ಮೊದಲು. ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡ, ಇದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಧ್ವನಿ.
Republic Kannada, which has become the biggest talking point since the announcement by Arnab on the 1st of September.
I truly believe viral videos are not news. 24/7 entertainment news, is not news. When we launched a Hindi channel, there's this formula, Anand, Saas, Bahu or Sajish. It is not news. If people want entertainment, they will go to a cinema hall. And there are enough good movie stars to watch. If people want to watch a news channel, they must have only news. So I'm saying to all of you today, 100% news. Can we bring a revolution in Karnataka? 100% news. Every second news. Every moment news.
In the last few weeks alone, Republic Kannada has shaken the Karnataka market with the biggest exclusives, the biggest impact stories, the fastest breaking news that have affected people directly. Republic Kannada is all set to launch on Saturday. That's tomorrow. In a few hours from now, we are live.
ಸುಳ್ಳೆ ವಿಜೃಂಭಿಸುವಂತ ಸುದ್ದಿಗಳು, ಗಂಡ ಹೆಂಡರ ಜಗಳ, ಸಮಾಜದ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೆಟ್ಟ ಪರಿಣಾಮ ಬೀರುವಂತ ಸುದ್ದಿಗಳು, ವೈರಲ್ ಸುದ್ದಿ, ಜ್ಯೋತಿಷ್ಯ, ಎಂಟರ್ಟೈನ್ಮೆಂಟ್. ಮತ್ತೆ ಸುದ್ದಿ ಅಲ್ರಪ್ಪ, ಮತ್ತ್ಯಾಕೆ ನೋಡ್ತಾರೆ? ಸುದ್ದಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ನಾವು ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀವಿ. ಸತ್ಯದ ಹಾದಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಪತ್ರಿಕೋದ್ಯಮದ ಸವಾರಿ, ಅಸಲಿ ಜರ್ನಲಿಸಂ ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀವಿ. ರೆಡಿಯಾಗಿ. ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡ, ಇದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಧ್ವನಿ.
With Karnataka's most credible journalists.
ಜಾತಿ ಧರ್ಮದ ಬಣ್ಣ ಕಟ್ಟಿ ಸುದ್ದಿ ಪ್ರಸಾರ ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಂತ ಒಂದು ಧರ್ಮದ ಅವಹೇಳನಕ್ಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ವೇದಿಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಈ ನಾಡಿನ ಏಕತೆ, ಸಮಗ್ರತೆಯೇ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಸ್ಮಿತೆ. ಇದು ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಧ್ವನಿ.
The best format in the Kannada news genre. 100% news guarantee for the people of Karnataka.
ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಲಾಬಿ ನಡೆಯಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ಯಾವ ರಾಜಕಾರಣಿಗಳ ಪ್ರಭಾವಕ್ಕೂ ಕೂಡ ಒಳಗಾಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ಯಾರಿಗೂ
Zero evidence, Trudeau continues to flounder. Trudeau ducks on facts, his allies duck on backing him. Was Canada cultivating a Khalistani asset? Arnab debates at 9 p.m.
From the Delhi studios of Republic TV, it's time for Arnab Goswami on The Debate.
Arnab Goswami on The Debate at 9. Presented by Amity University. Powered by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group. The new Kia Seltos, Century Ply, Club Prime, PolicyBazaar.com and JK Tire.
evening and welcome. Viewers and supporters of the Republic Media Network at 9 a.m. in what has been, without doubt, the fastest ever broadcast television launch in India's history. Republic Kannada, ladies and gentlemen, will be live. So Republic Kannada goes live at 9 a.m. tomorrow, and I want to thank you, we want to thank you, our supporters and our viewers, for believing in us. And I can assure you, our teams and the Republic Kannada newsroom is powered by your love, as they are set to change the news genre in Karnataka from 9 a.m. tomorrow. So 9 a.m. tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, available on all DTH cable TV platforms across the country, on satellite as well. Republic Kannada, 9 a.m. tomorrow. I'll tell you more about that, our latest launch from the Republic Media Group, in just a while. Moving on for now. Ladies and gentlemen, Justin Trudeau, he's completely lost the plot. Justin Trudeau, the supporter of terrorism, the open terror backer with sympathies for terrorists, he's at the point of no return. I would have said that he has completely messed up, but I think he has messed up to a point of no return now. He's himself a mess, floundering at press conferences, bogus scripts on rote, 5 days in, flying to New York, being badgered to specifics to back his stupid claim, and he shows up with nothing. Till 5 days ago, when he stood there, at least you'd hope that he would back up his claim, his ridiculous claim. But what is tumbling out of the Kannada Khalistani terrorist closet is a murkier reality than I always knew existed. When this Trudeau pontificated on the farmers' protests and cracked down on the protests back home, one always felt that there has to be something more than meets the eye with this floundering mess of a Canadian Prime Minister. However, this reality that stumbled out is a potential link between Canadian authorities and terrorist groups. This is a very serious matter. Trudeau can't cover it up now. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a weak man politically. He's a weak man. And the only way he thinks he's going to continue in his office is by joining hands with terrorists and terrorist groups. That means he's legally, morally, and ethically weak. Ladies and gentlemen, on top of the debate tonight, I have some stunning revelations that have just come into our newsroom, which all weaves out very credibly, in my opinion, personally, to corroborate the fact that essentially Justin Trudeau is fighting for the right to support terrorism. He says he talks about the rule of law. How wrong he is. And the people of Canada should tell him and should realize as well that what they are doing by talking about the rule of law is actually cultivating terrorism. What they are doing is that they are ruining their country. What they are doing is that just to sustain the weak politics of the fumbling Trudeau, they have allowed their country, Canada, to become a safe haven for terrorists, terrorism, terrorist groups, organized crime. And how can supporting terrorism become a fundamental right? I ask you today, ladies and gentlemen, can the support to terrorism become a fundamental right? Become state policy? And if so, will Justin Trudeau be reminded by the history of those who did so? Or will he fall to his own fate, much like the fate of his opinion poll ratings back home tonight? So viewers, my point is very, very clear. Terrorism is terrorism. Terrorists are terrorists. Organized crime, gangsters, terror, terrorism. Is Trudeau absolutely sure that this is not going to bite him back home? What if the bomb blasts and murders and killings, and I ask the people of Canada this, and I hope they are watching, what if all the murders and bomb blasts and terrorist incidents, hijacks, what if all this organized crime and terrorism, instead of using Canada as a base to carry out these attacks in India, what if these people, these groups start carrying out these acts of terrorism in Canada itself or in other countries? Will Trudeau then come out and say that in the name of fighting for the rule of law, I shall defend my fundamental right to support terrorism. Ladies and gentlemen, I say this as much to you, and I hope this message goes out to the people of Canada. Why are Canadians allowing their country to be an official evangelist of terrorism? The consequences are dangerous. The road that Canada is on today is the road that Pakistan was on, is the road that Afghanistan was on. Does Canada want to become the new Pakistan, the new Afghanistan? Ladies and gentlemen, my only appeal tonight to the people of Canada: learn the lessons of history. Don't become a terror-backing state. The consequences are dangerous. Trudeau has a short-term political career that is going to ebb and end soon. But the consequences for Canada will be beyond measure in any way. Debate number 1 tonight. That's debate number 1 this evening. This man sitting in Canada, a terrorist supporter. Ladies and gentlemen, debate number 2 tonight. We give it back to Canada. We put China in our place. I think our foreign policy is stellar. Let's back it. Debate number 3 tonight. No backing with Sanatan. No messing with Sanatan. I correct myself. I think all those people who are carrying out Sanatan hate speech, who have now been given notices by the Supreme Court, should be called upon to explain themselves and apologize. That's debate number 3, and here are the headlines this Friday evening on the debate tonight.
As I said on Monday, there are credible reasons to believe that agents of the government of India were involved in the killing of a Canadian on Canadian soil.
90 hours and counting, the fumbling, unsure, head-scratching Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is yet to offer a single iota of evidence to back his allegations against India. But the slain terrorist son spills the beans, reveals that Nijjar was very much in touch with Canadian intelligence. Why was Canadian intelligence cultivating a terrorist asset?
The sports minister's visit to China for the Asian Games opening ceremony has been cancelled. No official will visit. Made a clear statement that India has the right to respond at the right time.
India hits back. INB minister cancels his visit to China after Beijing blocks Arunachal athletes' entry for the Asian Games. From Canada to China, Modi's muscular foreign policy makes it clear: don't mess with India. Top court sends notice to Udayanidhi, A. Raja and the Tamil Nadu government. There can be no more free run, it's clear, for anti-Hindu hate mongers. And it's a new dawn for the news in Kannada. Republic Kannada is all set to disrupt the news genre with 100% commitment to news. Republic Kannada goes live at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, the Canadian Prime Minister is completely cornered. He has made a huge allegation, sabotaged India-Canada friendship for the sake of it. But when asked direct questions to show evidence, he was seen dodging the questions and instead talking gibberish. It is quite clear now, the confused, fumbling Trudeau never had any evidence. He has no proof and he has no case. He has destroyed Canada's reputation globally. In fact, it is Trudeau who should now answer why was the Khalistani terrorist Nijjar in touch with Canadian intelligence. What is the link between Canada's intelligence and terrorist groups? Here's a recap and then we debate.
It's been 90 hours and counting since Justin Trudeau accused India.
Over the past number of weeks,
Canadian security agencies have been actively pursuing credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar.
Since then, he's had 3 chances to state his evidence, but that's a word that seemingly escaped his vocabulary.
As I said on Monday, there are credible reasons to believe that agents of the government of India were involved in the killing of a Canadian on Canadian soil.
I mean, if I understand correctly, are you suggesting that the evidence was extensive? Is that what you're saying?
I'm repeating what I said on Monday afternoon, that there are credible allegations that we need to take extremely seriously.
Here's what he said when he was asked directly.
First, can I ask you a couple of things about India? Will you share the evidence?
First of all, Canada has a rigorous and independent justice system that we trust to follow through the processes. As a country of the rule of law, we will ensure that those processes are strictly abided by and respected.
So shifty have Trudeau's replies been, he won't even answer what India has made clear in public on day one.
Prime Minister Modi confirm or deny these allegations when you talked to him about them?
As I said, I had a direct and frank conversation with the Prime Minister in which I shared my concerns in no uncertain terms.
We had issued a press release, I think on the 19th it was, I have a copy here, where we said, yes, these allegations were raised by Prime Minister Trudeau with Prime Minister, and Prime Minister rejected them.
Grandstanding on values and rule of law aside, Trudeau is gasping for breath, cornered at home as he is abroad.
Of terrorism or a hate crime targeting a religious group is allowed in the name of freedom of speech and expression.
As per a Canadian report, Trudeau's popularity at home is dwindling, even as the murk around Canada's own involvement with slain terrorist Nijjar is deepening.
Now, Nijjar's son Balraj has come out and said that he was in fact in frequent touch with Canadian intelligence operatives, and that few months before his killing he had sought a bulletproof vest and that was denied by the cops in Canada, clearly suggesting that there is more than meets the eye. Was Nijjar a Canadian intelligence asset? That's the question.
Trudeau's dug himself into a hole he can't escape. Alone and unpopular, tying himself into knots after making allegations he can't prove. Has Trudeau misfired completely? Let's debate.
We got different versions tonight on Republic. Brahma Chelani, author, professor, strategic studies, Center for Policy Research, fellow in the Robert Bosch Academy in Berlin. Professor Madhav Nalapat, vice chairman of the Manipal Advanced Research Group, consulting editor of the ITV Group. Major Gaurav Arya, consulting editor, strategic affairs of the Republic Media Network. We have Dr. Zachary Pakin, non-resident research fellow at the Institute of Peace and Diplomacy in Canada. He's joining us from Geneva tonight. I can see Terry Milowski, former journalist of the CBC. Darshan Singh is an international affairs expert with views on this subject from London. And Michael Kugelman's joining us. He's deputy director of the Asia program at the Wilson Center in Washington. My first question is to Corey Morgan, columnist for West Standard News. He's joining us live from Alberta in Canada. Mr. Morgan, I've been watching this, we've all been watching this with interest in India. And it is alarming for us to see that after all this time, Mr. Trudeau is unable to actually talk about any hard evidence. And for a prime minister to act against another nation, a significant nation, a sovereign nation, and when asked about the evidence, he doesn't seem to have any. What does this indicate in your view? It's been so many days, he's not able to produce a single iota of evidence against India.
Well, it means he was being very irresponsible when he tried to directly tie the murder of Nijar to Indian agents. Either he has the evidence and can't disclose it. In that case, again, he shouldn't have been publicly bringing that up in the House of Commons then, or indeed, he doesn't have the evidence, which is even more irresponsible. We have such an important relationship between Canada and India. To disrupt it like this, almost whimsically on the part of the Prime Minister, is unforgivable. So something has happened. There's more of a nuanced situation going on. But again, then perhaps the place to discuss this wasn't standing and grandstanding on the floor of the House of Commons. It could have been in more discreet diplomatic discussions. And now he's gotten himself into a mess. And as you can see, with the kind of answers he gives at press conferences that we as Canadians have had to endure out of him for some years, it's hard to get solid answers out of him later.
I agree with you, Corey, and I thank you for your introductory comments on this. And now I want to go to Terry. Terry, we spoke a couple of days back, and from New York, Trudeau was floundering question after question. He was asked on very specific questions to back his allegation, and let alone diplomatic protocol. If he actually had the evidence or the E of evidence, I mean, he's avoiding the word evidence anywhere. And he's gone into the qualification of statement. He's saying, I have credible evidence. I have credible reasons to believe. That's a very subjective view. He doesn't use the word hard evidence. If he's saying India has killed a Canadian, the reporter's first question, the reporter is excellent. Trudeau is asked why nobody's supporting him. He pauses, then goes into a tangent about how Canada is a country that believes in the rule of the law. He's not giving direct statements for something with so much significance, like literally going into diplomatic war with India.
Let me just push back a little bit on that. The Canadians are pointing out, and the Americans are pointing out, quite strongly, in fact. The White House called my former colleagues at the CBC to say, no, this reporting that we are not supporting the Canadians is incorrect. The Washington Post has backed off on its story to that effect. But that's a side issue. The Canadians have now begun very tentatively to tiptoe towards releasing some evidence. That's all. It's no more than that. But they have tried in the last 24 hours to turn the heat up a little bit on the Indian side by suggesting not what the evidence is, to be sure, and that remains the whole in the heart of the Prime Minister's presentation. Without actual detailed convincing evidence, this is going nowhere for Trudeau. But they have begun to leak. And this was predictable. Now we're into the leak phase of this investigation, where the Canadians are saying, we have signals intelligence from one of the Five Eyes allies, presumably the United States. SIGINT, as it's called in the spy trade, not HUMINT, which is humans talking, but signals intelligence, a wiretap, for example. And that ties a unnamed Indian government official, or perhaps a diplomat, to the machinations around this murder. Well, it doesn't tell us very much. We can't hang very much on it. But there's a second part of the leaks overnight that Indians should be aware of, I believe. And that is that the Canadians are saying in the weeks before the G20, when Trudeau brought it up with Modi, in those weeks, the Indians never denied our allegations in private. Now they're denying them in public, but they didn't deny them in private. Well, we could resolve this quite easily because we know that Mr. Modi knows what Trudeau is talking about, because it's impossible to imagine, no Indian would believe, that their Prime Minister Modi would sit there with Trudeau in that brief but frosty meeting in New Delhi at the end of the G20, and that he would have sat there like a potted plant and asked no questions when Trudeau raised this with him in no uncertain terms, in his words. So Modi would have asked, what are you talking about? What's your evidence? And Trudeau would have revealed something. So if Modi wanted to blow Trudeau out of the water, all he has to do is say, look, Trudeau is reluctant to reveal his evidence. I know why, because it's rubbish. And here it is. here's what's wrong with it. This guy wasn't even in the neighborhood, or whatever it is. He could blow Trudeau out of the water by revealing what he knows and showing that it's nonsense. And he's not doing that. So they're both painted into a corner with great respect. It's not just Trudeau that is not producing something concrete. It's also Mr. Modi that has some knowledge that he's not sharing right now.
Terry, there's a fundamental difference, however. I mean, with respect, I would like to qualify this. Maybe Brahma Chalani and Madhav Nalapat can explain this better. Terry, Trudeau is on a weak political wicket. You are aware that even in the Canadian media, people are saying, why did he suddenly throw this thing up? And what is the timing of throwing this up? This is happening at a time when the majority of Canadians, as per polls, want him to go. His position is weak, so he has to pander to certain sentiments. But more than that, also, he's got to change the narrative back home. He needs to talk about something else than the issues that Canadians want him out for. And maybe this was seen to be that worthy issue that could just be picked up. And fundamentally, you change the narrative in the media in Canada. But did he think of the consequences? Has he been mature about it? And I want to tell you this. I mean, just not because, of any other reason, because the Indian channel. Let me tell you, Narendra Modi is an extremely strong wicket politically. We've just had a joint session of Parliament passing a huge legislation ensuring 1/3 reservation for women. He's on the path of victory towards the next general elections. So it's a study in contrast in a way. Modi is on a very strong wicket politically back home, unlike Trudeau. So I just want to get Madhav to respond to this. Madhav, you heard Terry, you heard Corey. What do you think?
Look, first of all, Arnab, Trudeau is following in the footsteps of his father. Don't forget that Pierre Trudeau refused India's request to basically deport a chap called Talvinder Parmar, if I remember. And he refused on what ground? That India was not sufficiently respectful towards Queen Elizabeth II. Pierre Trudeau seemed to be extremely concerned about the supposed lack of respect that India has shown Queen Elizabeth II, presumably by not making a head of state. And you know what happened? In 1985, AI-182 was blown up by the same fellow Parmar, and hundreds of people died. And every one of those deaths should be laid at the door of the father of Justin Trudeau, Pierre Trudeau, who rejected India's request to basically extradite the bomber before he bombed AI-182. Your guest from Ontario, I heard that he's from CBC. CBC is funded by the Canadian taxpayer. Trudeau's government is in support of funding it. And obviously, that gives the channel a certain tilt. The Conservative Party doesn't want to fund it. And if it comes to power in the next election, which CBC says, God forbid, then its funding may be cut. So they have a deliberate interest in planted stories. And may I say a third thing, Arnab, having worked with people in the technology sector, I recently gave a keynote address at the WALT conference, global conference, all about technology, which is an international conference. Artificial intelligence can mimic now Terry's voice and can mimic Terry and put Terry in the position of having videographs or doing all kinds of horrible things. And this is the situation. This is ridiculous. There is nothing absolutely in this charge. This is completely, totally wrong charge. And there are two countries very happy with this. One is China and the other is Pakistan. And may I point out, one more point. Trudeau's talking about rule of law. It's rule of the outlaw. What do these people want? What are they doing? If a minister in his government checked 17 years back, Terry, the funds that he facilitated to the groups active in India. Check 23, 24 years back, the funds that he facilitated to groups in India and what they did with that money. And look at me in the face and tell me, is terror funding a legitimate expression of democratic values and freedom of speech? I can understand your CBC tilt. I can understand you're standing up for Trudeau and you're talking about Indian channels. Let me tell you, in the age of the internet, we don't have Canadian channels, we don't have Indian channels, we have global channels. And some channels are seen across the world and some are not. But I'd like to point out very frankly, Arnab, this is an effort to torpedo the India-US alliance. I can tell you that. And I do not believe that the Americans are so foolish as to buy this story. I mean, Justin Trudeau has got people in his cabinet who have funded terrorist groups, actually in his cabinet, in his government, in his party, and the funding trail, the internet trail, all these trails, the telephone trails are there, visible to Trudeau. The man is ignoring it because he wants to remain Prime Minister.
Madhav, Madhav, the issue here is that even globally, there isn't much sympathy building. And I'm not, please do not think I'm taking any prejudiced position on that. I'm watching it very closely. I don't think there is much support building for Trudeau or for Canada, because anyone knows that the person in there, not that anyone deserves to be killed, but if a person has been killed, you know, terrorists are killed by terrorists, gangsters are killed by gangsters. They are part of gangster groups, gangster crimes. You're part of the mafia, you're a gangster, you're a terrorist. And not that many of them don't have violent deaths. It's very, very unfortunate, but that is a reality. Now, what I find very, very surprising, Brahma, is the militancy with which Trudeau is arguing for a terrorist. And then saying that we have a right to have a hotline with a terrorist. Our intelligence agencies should be with a terrorist. The terrorist can carry out bomb blasts in India, killings in India, kill innocent political workers, politicians, innocent citizens in India. But he has a right to do it from Canadian soil because that's the way we are in Canada. I mean, that is a fundamental argument, and he's fighting for a right to support terrorism, calling it the rule of law. That issue cannot be diverted, in my view. At some point, Canadians will have to discuss this. Brahma, what do you think?
Well, Trudeau talks about the rule of law and a rules-based order. He has marred Canada's important relationship with India over the unsolved murder of an international terrorist fugitive who was wanted in India for multiple acts of terrorism, including a deadly cinema bombing that killed or wounded 46 people. And the bigger issue is that while shedding tears over the death of this terrorist, Trudeau, while talking about a rules-based order last year, celebrated the US assassination of an old retired terrorist, al-Zawahiri, saying it was an important step to a safer world. Trudeau's hypocrisy is really stunning. But unfortunately for him, not only has he created a political mess for him at home, because Canadians are demanding, show us the evidence, Mr. Trudeau, that that call is growing louder in Canada. But he is also drawing international attention for the first time to Canada's role as a haven for terrorists and militants. For the first time, there is spotlight on.
Terry, you want to counter? One second. Brahma, Terry is countering you. I'm allowing it. Brahma, Terry is countering you. I'm allowing it. Brahma, Terry is countering you for a moment. Let's go 50-50, 1 versus 1. Yes, please, Terry. Terry to Brahma.
I just very quickly want to say one thing, since the CBC became an issue and so forth. First, I'm retired from the CBC, and second, for 20 years, I've been reporting that Canada became a safe haven, the name of a documentary that I did 20 years ago for overseas terrorists, and that it's been a national disgrace. The story that you cited about Justin Trudeau's father in saying no to Indira Gandhi and refusing to extradite the Air India bomber, that was my story, by the way. I was the one that dug that out of the archives and reported it. And I was the one that reported, for example, on Trudeau's last visit to India when he had a terrorist dinner at the High Commissioner's residence in New Delhi. So if you're going after somebody who is indulging and coddling the liberal tolerance for terrorists in Canada, you've got the wrong guy. That's the thing I wanted to say.
Terry, I take that, and I think we appreciate that.
Well done,
Terry, we appreciate that. Now, Madhav's responding to you. Madhav is responding to you. Yes.
Say, well done, Terry. Well done, and 3 cheers to you. And may there be more such people in Canada. I'm only pointing out that you seem to be giving the benefit of the doubt to Justin Trudeau on a matter in which essentially he has tried to basically blow to smithereens the Indo-Pacific Alliance. And we all know the country against whom that alliance is directed, a country that wants to dominate the Indo-Pacific. And this is what Justin Trudeau has done. And you will know more than anybody else the close linkages of the Trudeau family with a particular country, namely China. Not only Justin Trudeau, but his father.
I think that's the elephant in the room. I think that's the elephant in the room. I'm willing to take that head on. And I want to get in the others. I want to get in, I think that's, we got Michael Kugelman, right? Michael, hi, how are you? And before I come to you, Dr. Zachary Palpakin, Dr. Zachary, is Trudeau doing this on China's behest? Because Trudeau's main political opponents believe that Trudeau is working in China's interest. And their allegations are that members of Canada's security services have been leaking information about the election interference allegations in the media because Trudeau is working against Canadian interests. That is an allegation, right? If allegations were absolute, then China's ambassador to Canada accused Canada of white supremacy. The Chinese ambassador made that allegation. If allegations are absolute, then there are allegations against Trudeau as well, that he's China's man.
Arnab, thanks first of all for having me back on your program. No, he is not doing this at China's behest. Our relations with China are not in a good place right now. They have not been in a good place for some time, especially since the Meng Wanzhou incident with the two Michaels. We have not been able to reset our relationship with China, and that is going to be a major strategic challenge for Canada going forward. I think that the bigger issue here is that we've been dealing with a scandal recently in Canada concerning China's foreign interference in Canada, which has been very politically damaging to the governing Liberal Party. Basically, whether you view it as the government having been incompetent or deliberately sweeping certain things under the rug, one way or another, it appears as if the government, to many, was not forthright enough on this issue of China's interference in the past Canadian federal election. And because of this, I think that there was a political imperative at home for Prime Minister Trudeau not to make it look like he was potentially sweeping a second instance or alleged instance of foreign interference under the rug, and therefore a need to go public with this before the media were going to publish this. And he was basically given, I understand, an ultimatum to that basically the Globe and Mail was going to publish this story within 24 hours, and therefore he went early. He went public with this rather earlier than he would have liked. So I think this is a problem in general in Canada, as we're in reactive mode.
That's a political calculation. But that's a political calculation. My question to Michael, sorry to keep you waiting, Michael, I also want to bring in Gaurav Arya into the debate. My question to you, Michael, is it realistic for Trudeau to expect, the United Kingdom, the US, Australia, all of India's partners and allies across the world to really double down on India? Because that's not happening. Is he being unrealistic in his expectations? And did he fail to make that diplomatic calculation before making his political move against India?
Well, I think he may be unrealistic if he expects Canada's Five Eyes allies to all come out and publicly condemn India. Given the nature of the U.S. relationship with India and the other Five Eyes allies relationship with India. Though I don't think he's unreasonable in expecting his Five Eyes allies to be willing to, at the least, express support for what he and Canada are going through right now. I mean, let's be very clear. I mean, the U.S., speaking specifically about the U.S. is a treaty ally of Canada. The U.S. is not a treaty ally of India. So when Canada's leader comes out and goes public on these allegations against India, naturally the U.S. government will take them very seriously. And that doesn't matter which country is being targeted. And that's what Jake Sullivan meant yesterday when he said that there's no exemptions here. It doesn't matter who's the subject of these allegations, the U.S. will take them seriously. But indeed, the U.S. is in a tough spot because it values its relations in a big way with India, which is a strategic partner for reasons that we all know. So I think that it would not be realistic to think that you're going to have this effort on the part of Canada's Western allies to essentially try to confront India. I think what will be more realistic is that the U.S. would try to play a back channel sort of mediator role to try to get both the Canadians and the Indians to figure out ways to de-escalate. I don't think now is the time for that because tensions are way too high. But the U.S. is in a very difficult position. It's looking at its treaty ally to the north that's made these extremely explosive allegations against India, and the U.S. is also looking at India, a country that it knows it cannot afford to risk antagonizing or imperil relations with for reasons that we all know. So I think that the quiet back channel route is the one that the U.S. might wish to take sometime soon.
True. Well, I think so. But I also believe, if I may, Gaurav, that there is another issue which comes up, Michael, and that is not just about, about the diplomacy that's happening in the back channel. The ethical issue, Gaurav, that comes up out here is whether the world's most powerful nations will go to war with each other over the murder of a terrorist. I think that's where I think, Gaurav, Trudeau and the Canadians who are in power right now are being totally unrealistic. This is a man with a red corner notice against him. He's a wanted man. He has a red corner notice of Interpol, right? He has carried out some of the most dastardly terrorist attacks in India. He has killed 46 people in a single terrorist attack in a cinema hall in India. And to expect India and America and Canada to go to war with each other, India and America, Australia, the UK to risk everything over why this terrorist was killed, I think is completely unrealistic. The man is a terrorist mastermind. If the question should be, why did he get a Canadian passport in the first place, rather than, try and get into who killed him? Gaurav, how do you view this?
No, absolutely, Arnab. First of all, I agree with you. In that, I'll just take you through this. An Ipsos poll was there by the Global News. Now, they say that his ratings are down to 31% and his main opposition leader is 40%. So in this poll, this is a Canadian poll, Justin Trudeau is behind. And they say that if elections were to be held today, he would lose. That is the first part. Second thing is, Arnab, this whole thing about Trudeau being so affectionate towards a known terrorist. I sense, I don't want to use the word racism here because that is being flaunted around too much, a little too much. But I do say that there are separate standards that the West has for itself and for the others. For example, Arabs bomb American buildings in 9/11. Canada goes to war because Americans were killed in the United States of America. Canada goes to war, sends troops to kill people in Iraq and in Afghanistan, right? It's not Canada's war, but because of some treaties, the NATO understanding, they go to war. But when India has a concern that here is a guy who may be responsible directly and indirectly both, directly for less than 50 people, but indirectly for hundreds of deaths. When America hunted down Osama bin Laden, right, the world cheered and nobody asked America for proof. What proof do you have? Because it happened in the West, so everything is very clear in front of us. India did not kill Niger. That part is true. But the problem is that, you see, the way they look at different instances, if somebody kills people in India, then it's all right. Because that is under Canadian freedom of speech and you can settle down here in Canada and enjoy a good life. But the problem is that if somebody in the West dies, or there is a, heaven forbid, a terror attack on the West, it is looked at differently and the West reserves the right to respond in the way they deem fit. Saudis attack America, you destroy Iraq, who had nothing to do with the attacks. You go and invade Afghanistan and that's all right. The world says, okay, war on terror, great. But and I'm sure Nijar was killed. I'm not saying by the Indian government, but it could be gang wars, all these Khalistani gang wars amongst each other. So all of them are of Indian origin, and somebody would have bumped off Nijar because they are drug lords and they get a lot of money through drugs. So finally, it is a person of Indian origin who would have knocked off Nijar. So this is not the first Khalistani death to have taken place in Canada, and they keep on killing each other for money, and this is very common.
But is this for
the Prime Minister of Canada?
Is this a subject? Yes, please complete.
So, Arnab, basically what I'm saying is that, in essence, what happens is that you have a different rule. You can invade countries because you suspect weapons of mass destruction to be present. You displace millions of people. You bomb wedding parties. You put hellfire missiles into wedding parties in Afghanistan and tribal Pakistan, and it's all right because the West is doing it. And one Nijar dies, and he on the floor of the parliament says India does it, and then he's not even giving proof.
No, he's making it an issue. No. See, he's making it an issue. I personally think, and I think Terry and Corey, I want to go back to you because you understand Canadian politics well. I am sure there is a political imperative, Corey, behind why Trudeau is supporting these groups, who we believe are terrorist groups. I just am curious to know, Corey and Terry, first to you, Corey, are Canadians comfortable with so many globally recognized terrorists operating out of Canada? Recently, there is a terrorist who gave a threat to Indo-Canadian Hindus. He's in the US, I think, called Pannun. He says, Indo-Canadian Hindus, you have repudiated your allegiance to India, to Canada and the Canadian Constitution. Your destination is India. Leave Canada, go to India. When these people, and there are 26 major extradition requests, Corey, against well-known terrorists from India. These are people who carry out major terrorist attacks in India. Are Canadians comfortable with what is happening to their country, whatever the internal politics are? Are they comfortable? Are they debating these issues?
I don't know if they're debating it in such a sense of how many terrorists may indeed be operating out of Canada. The bigger problem we have is I think people are attributing too much thought or malice on the part of Trudeau to what's actually more like weak leadership and incompetence, to be blunt. He doesn't like dealing with the complicated issues. Extraditions are difficult to deal with. We do pride ourselves as being a safe haven for people if they are wrongly being prosecuted in another country, and we're very careful about when we might extradite somebody, but that takes a lot of nuanced diplomatic negotiations, discussions. We don't want to harbor terrorists, but at the same time, we don't want to be frivolous about taking anybody out of the country who is here already. Trudeau just would rather not deal with it. That's the problem. He tends to sweep problems under the rug. And what's happening right now is he's been diplomatically clumsy. He's created a mess. And we're now that's what the mess we're discussing today. When was there something that could have been done with Mr. Nijar before? And again, to come out and claim that he was murdered by another state. Well, again, if you're going to do that, we need to see some evidence. And if that evidence is there, if there's proof, Canadians will be horrified. And if there isn't evidence, then we really need to re-examine everything.
I tell you this, Corey, recently we were horrified. I'm not sure of which Canadian town, but Terry, you remember this, that there was a tableau in which the assassination of former Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was celebrated in a tableau. You had the tableau where you had mock-ups of terrorists shooting her and the blood oozing out, and this is happening on the streets of a Canadian city. A political assassination carried out was being celebrated. Is this something that's normal in Canada? Is Canada going to normalize this? I mean, also, Terry, where's the conscience here? In the Kanishka bombing happened in 1985. How many Canadians died? 329 innocent people died. 88 children were killed. 88 children were killed, right? The report was only published in 2010, and the main person behind it, Parmar, is yet to be convicted. A person involved in the killing of 329 people in a plane bombing is hanging around loose on the streets of Canada, maybe shopping in a mall next to you. Are Canadians okay with this? Is this a rule of law, Terry? Why are these debates not happening in Canada?
It's not, and I've been ranting about it for 20 years. I mean, you take the example, that was Brampton, Ontario, was the city where they had this grotesque tableau on the back of a flatbed truck celebrating the assassination of Indira Gandhi. There you have the pictures, and you see the extra red paint splattered over her sari so that children really get the message. This was a bloody affair, and we're proud of it. This was a great thing that we did here. Yes, Canadians have normalized bit by bit, inch by inch, the celebration of terrorism all over Canada. This was in Brampton, Ontario. What about the life-size pictures on the wall of a Major Gurdwara in Surrey, British Columbia, showing a gorgeous, heroic martyr picture with ceremonial sword and ornate turban of Talvinder Parmar, the Kanishka bomber, the worst mass murderer in Canadian history? What about more recently, these Sikhs for Justice killer posters, painting targets on the backs of Indian diplomats by calling them killers? And not just Indian diplomats in Canada, by the way, but Indian diplomats all over the world were named and shamed and photographed and their names shown, identified as killers, so that if any nut happens to get the message and happens to have a gun or a knife, he might be able to act on it. And they offered cash rewards. Did you know this? Cash rewards for their home addresses of these targeted diplomats, including the Sikh ambassador in the United States from India. I mean, so this is what we call normal in Canada, and you can see why people might have been ranting as I have for 20 years.
I mean, that wouldn't be that.
Will be an
no, but then
where we're done with that.
How is this not being debated in Canada? Brahma, if I hear this, and I appreciate your empathy with the issue, Terry, and I can see there's a strong journalistic instinct which finds what is going on immoral, but how is that not part of a debate? Why aren't people in Canada asking, in the process of sort of strengthening his short-term going to long-term isolate Canada and ruin Canada. And also Brahma, maybe Canada is not sure about how strong the present Indian leadership is, how well connected we are globally. We will leverage our defense, economy and trade positions to ensure that our interests are never affected globally. And we're also going to push back on Canada. What do you expect from the Modi government, Brahma, knowing their foreign policy stance?
Well, first, Canada is not an adversary of India. It's a friend. So it's a very unfortunate
no, it's not.
That the bilateral relationship has reached its lowest ebb. But forget about Indian security. Just think about Canadian security. Canada has become a hotbed of Sikh militancy. Militants that are promoting or glorifying terrorism. What does this do to Canada's internal security in the long run? Canada is compromising its own security and the security of other partner countries in the West by becoming the international headquarters of the Khalistan movement. This is where the most wanted Khalistani terrorists are now located. A day will come when these very men, many of them located in British Columbia, carry out a major terrorist strike either in Canada or in another Western country. That day will come. So even though India has been pressing Canada for so many years now, and this pressure has been exerted on Ottawa even before Trudeau became the Prime Minister 8 years ago, almost. The fact is that under Trudeau, these violence espousing militants feel more emboldened because of Trudeau's tacit political ties to Sikh radicals. The New Democrats leader, Jagmeet Singh, is such a close partner of Trudeau. It's a case of the tail wagging the dog.
Very.
pandering to the
Absolutely, sir.
radical Sikhs was also evident when Trudeau, interfering in Indian politics, sought to provoke and egg on
everyone,
the farmers that were blockading highways near New Delhi. He cheered them on. He tried to encourage the anti-government farmer protests in India, and then later, in the style of an autocrat, he declared emergency at home, a national emergency, and crushed peaceful protests against his vaccination policy. His government froze bank accounts. It used state power to quash the blockades by protesters. This guy's double standards are astounding. And I think he is not looking at Canada's own long-term interests. This is the most unfortunate part.
Yeah.
Canada is a great country.
Absolutely.
He should not be undermining
I just want to end on that point. I want to end on that point, Brahma. And I want to comment from Dr. Zachary on this. See, Dr. Zachary, if you can see the tone of this discussion, as Gaurav will also agree, we don't see Canada as an adversary or an enemy. We don't. We are just extremely disappointed in the way this has been handled. I think I think you get the sense. I mean, we're just horrified at the immaturity of the process rather than look upon Canada as an adversary. And I think this can have big consequences if not resolved quickly.
Indeed, I think that there's a major problem of strategic empathy in general in Ottawa as it relates to understanding the perceptions of other powers, particularly those from the global south. We are still a very U.S. and Western Europe oriented country in terms of our natural foreign policy inklings. And I don't think it's really hit us, how influential countries like China and India have become at this point. And it's left us very poorly equipped, I think, to deal with the world that's emerging right now. And that's something that we're going to have to reckon with. The reality is that we, as a country in Canada, the luxury really just to conduct a foreign policy based on moral pronouncements for a long time, directed largely at a domestic audience, whether it's an ideological audience or an ethnocultural audience. And unfortunately, that has taken our foreign policy hostage. And so it's only by feeling this pain, and it's not just the pain
I do understand
the pain
that,
of losing two straight Security Council bids that we are hopefully going to adjust course over time.
Absolutely, and I think influential nations must work with each other. This is unfortunate what has happened, but I appreciate the candor with which Terry, Dr. Zachary, you and Corey have contributed to the discussion. Gaurav, Madhav and Dr. Chelani, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, when I come back on the other side, we've had an escalation in the ongoing diplomatic row between India and China, and a very good stance that has been taken by the government of India when China has tried to browbeat some of our athletes. I'll give you more details on that on the other side, also what it reflects on the changing nature of Indian foreign policy when I'm back.
In the global employability rankings by Times Higher Education UK, only the following 6 institutions from India are ranked amongst the top 230 in the world for having the most employable graduates. IIT Delhi, IISc Bangalore, IIT Bombay, IIM Ahmedabad, IIT Kharagpur and Amity University.
ನಾಡು ನುಡಿ ನೆಲ ಜಲ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ ಹಿಂದೆ ಹೆಜ್ಜೆ ಇಡೋ ಮಾತೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ದೇಶದ ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ರಾಜಿ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮದು ಸಂವಿಧಾನದ 4ನೇ ಅಂಗ. ನಾಟಕ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಸಲ್ಲದನ್ನ ಹೇಳಲ್ಲ, ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದನ್ನ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದಾಗೆ, ಸುದ್ದಿಯನ್ನ ಸುದ್ದಿಯಂತೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮುಂದೆ ತೆರೆದಿಡ್ತೀವಿ. ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಡೋರನ್ನ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಬಿಡಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಂತ ನ್ಯಾಯದ ಹಾದಿಯಲ್ಲಿದ್ದವರನ್ನ ಗುರುತಿಸಿ ಸಲ್ಯೂಟ್ ಹೊಡೆಯೋದನ್ನು ಮರೆಯೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ಶುರು ಮಾಡೋಣ ನೇರ ಮಾತು, ಕಣ್ಣಲ್ಲಿ ಕಣ್ಣಿಟ್ಟು. ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡ, ಇದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಧ್ವನಿ.
Karnataka's most awaited news channel is going to be available live across India tomorrow. Now, we here at the Republic family are delighted to announce that Republic Kannada will be going live. That starts at 9 a.m. tomorrow, that is Saturday. The Republic Media Network, ladies and gentlemen, is storming the Karnataka market quite literally because it's going to become the only Kannada channel that's going to put its focus on 100% news. Something that is such an important ingredient in today's day and time. And the motto is going to be Karnataka first, nation first focus with people at its core. So do not miss the launch of Republic Kannada. On the bottom of your screens, you already see that entire counter building up to what's going to be a news revolution, quite literally, in the state of Karnataka.
Karnataka's most awaited news channel will be available live across India tomorrow. We are delighted to announce that Republic Kannada will be going live at 9 a.m. on Saturday. Republic Media Network is storming the Karnataka market as it becomes the only Kannada channel that puts out a 100% news guarantee with Karnataka first, nation first focus with people at its core. And do not miss the launch of Republic Kannada tomorrow morning.
The channel that Karnataka has been waiting for.
Today we dedicate Republic Kannada to the people of Karnataka. With this partnership, Republic Media Network is now the largest news network in India. People of this country know that whichever language we go to, we are speaking for the people 24/7.
As India's biggest news network enters the South market. ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡ ಹೊಸತನದ ಬದಲಾವಣೆಯ ಚಳವಳಿಗೆ ನಾಂದಿ ಹಾಡಲಿದೆ. ಯಾವ ಭಾಷೆಯೇ ಆಗಿರಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಚಾನೆಲ್ ಪ್ರಸಾರ ಅಲ್ಲಿನ ಜನರ ಮೇಲೆ ನೇರ ಪರಿಣಾಮ ಬೀರುತ್ತದೆ ಹಾಗೂ ಅತಿ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ತರುತ್ತದೆ. ನಮಗೆ ದೇಶವೇ ಮೊದಲು. ದೇಶಕ್ಕಿಂತ ದೊಡ್ಡದು ನಮಗೆ ಯಾವುದೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಪ್ರಥಮ ಆದ್ಯತೆಯೇ ದೇಶದ ಒಗ್ಗಟ್ಟು. ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯ ಜನರಿಗೆ ಧ್ವನಿ ಆಗಿರುವುದೇ ನಮ್ಮ ಅತಿ ದೊಡ್ಡ ನಂಬಿಕೆ. ನಮ್ಮದು ಕೇವಲ ಒಂದು ಚಾನೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಮದು ಒಂದು ಚಳವಳಿ. ರಾಜ್ಯ ಮೊದಲು, ದೇಶ ಮೊದಲು. ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡ, ಇದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಧ್ವನಿ. ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡ, which has become the biggest talking point since the announcement by Arnab on the 1st of September.
I truly believe viral videos are not news. 24/7 entertainment news, is not news. When we launched a Hindi channel, there this formula, Anand, Saas, Bahu or Sajish, it is not news. If people want entertainment, they will go to a cinema hall.
ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡ ಹೊಸತನದ ಬದಲಾವಣೆಯ ಚಳವಳಿಗೆ ನಾಂದಿ ಹಾಡಲಿದೆ. ಯಾವ ಭಾಷೆಯೇ ಆಗಿರಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಚಾನೆಲ್ ಪ್ರಸಾರ ಅಲ್ಲಿನ ಜನರ ಮೇಲೆ ನೇರ ಪರಿಣಾಮ ಬೀರುತ್ತದೆ ಹಾಗೂ ಅತಿ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ತರುತ್ತದೆ. ನಮಗೆ ದೇಶವೇ ಮೊದಲು. ದೇಶಕ್ಕಿಂತ ದೊಡ್ಡದು ನಮಗೆ ಯಾವುದೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಪ್ರಥಮ ಆದ್ಯತೆಯೇ ದೇಶದ ಒಗ್ಗಟ್ಟು. ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯ ಜನರಿಗೆ ಧ್ವನಿ ಆಗಿರುವುದೇ ನಮ್ಮ ಅತಿ ದೊಡ್ಡ ನಂಬಿಕೆ. ನಮ್ಮದು ಕೇವಲ ಒಂದು ಚಾನೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಮದು ಒಂದು ಚಳವಳಿ. ರಾಜ್ಯ ಮೊದಲು, ದೇಶ ಮೊದಲು. ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡ, ಇದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಧ್ವನಿ.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As you guessed it, we are all very excited at the Republic Media Network as we are set to bring to you our fourth news channel offering. We are launching Republic Kannada. As I mentioned at the start of the program today, this is one of the fastest news channel launches, and it's been done in record time. We have a very, very excited Republic Kannada team. Our team has been working very hard with new production formats, new styles, new formats of debate, new ways in which to increase the amount of news. But fundamentally, what does Republic Kannada bring? Republic Kannada brings a dedication to news. Viewers, without passing judgment on the other players in Hindi, other players in other regional languages, or even in English, the fact of the matter is that under the guise of an ideological cover, many news channels have stopped doing the news. And in fact, we find that in Karnataka as well, many news channels are more interested in doing viral videos and shows based on superstition, shows which are non-serious, and the commitment to news has been really faulty, because the amount of time they give news is questionable. Most 50% of the time is dedicated to things that are outside the realm of news. And Republic Media Network as a network has been successful and accepted everywhere, not just because we are pro-nation, but because fundamentally we believe in the principle of 100% news. So Niranjan Narayan Swamy, our executive editor, and the team have been working hard in the newsrooms of Republic Kannada, and I thought I'd begin the 10 p.m. today by giving you a sense of the pulsating excitement in the Republic Kannada newsroom. First of all, best of luck to the Republic Kannada team. Very proud of you, very proud of the super fast way in which you've organized yourself, and maybe you'd like to tell us all about what you're going to change in the world of news in Karnataka starting tomorrow. Niranjan, over to you and the team.
Arnab, thank you so much, and it means a lot for us here. It's a very young team, Arnab. This is something that we've always taken pride in. We have a very young team of journalists, the most credible journalists in Karnataka. Arnab, let me tell you one thing. When we were setting up this team, there was just one trait that we looked out for. We just wanted to work with the most aspirational bunch of journalists, the most credible journalists, and here we are, Arnab. Here we are, just hours away from launch. I have with me some of the on-air faces. In fact, there are 300 of them, all of them here just watching the different TV screens behind us. And that's where we track all what people here refer to as the national media. We just sit here, we just look at all the channels out there. And we are here today just hours away from our launch, and we're all very excited. Arnab, let me tell you, I've been camping here for the last 1.5 months. And already the formats that you've mentioned, a lot of channels are taking note, Arnab. And perhaps somewhere they're realizing, I hope, and they're also trying to change our format. So let's just say ape our formats, and that's the truth. And we, in the last 3 weeks that we've been here in this newsroom, have been setting the agenda on the news day after day. And without taking much time, let me introduce our team here. We have 20 new formats when we hit the screen tomorrow. We have 10 new anchors here in Republic Kannada, and let me introduce you to our team, at least some of us, because most of them are coming back early tomorrow. Of course, all of us are. Smita Ranganath is here. She's one of our primetime anchors here on Republic Kannada, has about 15 years of experience behind her. We have Jaiprakash Shetty, has spent nearly 2.5 decades in journalism, a very respected journalist, also joining us in the Republic Kannada newsroom as we go live tomorrow. And I have Nagendra Babu, very young, hardworking journalist, has about 12 to 13 years of experience in the Kannada media industry. And I have Chiru Bhatt, an upcoming journalist, and I have Shripad, some of whom are here, and there are many more anchors, Arnab, at least 15 to 20 anchors who are part of the Republic Kannada team. Of course, when we go live tomorrow, they will all be live with us. And we have some big stories lined up. Smita, why don't you tell our viewers, and feel free to speak in both English and Kannada, it's fine. It's fine. Language is no barrier for us. What can the people of Karnataka expect tomorrow? What can they look forward to, Smita?
ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಚಾನೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತನಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಕನ್ನಡದ ಚಾನೆಲ್ ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾತನಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಐ ನೋ ಅರ್ನಬ್ ಸರ್ನ ಈ ಶೋನ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಮಂದಿ ಕನ್ನಡಿಗರು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡ, ನಾನು ಪದೇ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಇದನ್ನ ಥ್ರೂ ಔಟ್ ದ ಡೇ, ಪ್ರಮೋಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕಡೆ ಕೂಡ. ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡದ ಮೊದಲ ಆದ್ಯತೆ ದೇಶ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಆದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ನಾಡು ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ ನಮಗೆ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕವೇ ಮೊದಲು, ಕನ್ನಡವೇ ಮೊದಲು. ಹೀಗಾಗಿ ಅಪ್ಪಟ ಕನ್ನಡದ ಪರಿಶುದ್ಧ ಪತ್ರಿಕೋದ್ಯಮದ ಚಾನೆಲ್ ನಮ್ಮ ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ನಾವು ಬರೀ ಬಾಯಿ ಮಾತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದನ್ನ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಾಳೆ ಯಾವಾಗ ಆನ್ ಏರ್ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು, ಇದು ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಆದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ, ಇಡೀ ದೇಶದ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ದೊಡ್ಡ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಆಗಿದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ, ನಮ್ಮ ನಾಡಿನ ಅಸ್ಮಿತೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಭಾಷೆಯ ಪರಿಶುದ್ಧತೆಯನ್ನ ಕಾಪಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳೋ ಬದ್ಧತೆಯನ್ನ ನಾವು ಪ್ರದರ್ಶನ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಆ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸ ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಇದೆ.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸ್ಮಿತಾ. ಶೆಟ್ಟಿ ಅವರೇ, ಏನ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ನಾಳೆ?
ಡೆಫಿನೆಟ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಒಂದು ಪರಿಪೂರ್ಣವಾದ ಚಾನೆಲ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪರಿಪೂರ್ಣವಾದ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಹುತೇಕ ಜರ್ನಲಿಸ್ಟ್ಗಳೇ ಒಂದು ಕನಸಾಗಿತ್ತು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ. ನಾವು ದೇಶ ಮಟ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದಾಗ, ಅರ್ನಾಬ್ ಅವರ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳನ್ನು ನೋಡಿದಾಗ, ಈ ರೀತಿ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಯಾವಾಗ ಅವಕಾಶ ಸಿಗತ್ತೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ, ಬಟ್ ನಾವು ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ಕೂಡ ಅರ್ನಾಬ್ ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆನೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಸಿಗತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ನನ್ನದೊಂದು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಇತ್ತು, ಬಿಗ್ 3 ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಆರ್ ಕನ್ನಡ ಇಂಪ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಟೈಟಲ್ ಸಿಗೋದಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ನ ಒಂದು ಟೈಟಲ್ ಸಿಗೋದಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದೊಂದು ಮಹತ್ತರವಾದ ಒಂದು ಘಟ್ಟ. ಸೊ ಹಾಗಿರುವಾಗ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಎಷ್ಟು ಉತ್ಸುಕರಾಗಿದ್ದೇವೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಜನರೇಷನ್ನ ಜರ್ನಲಿಸಮ್ ಕೂಡ ಹೇಗಿರಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಎಸ್ ನಮಗೊಂದು ಅಂತ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಮಟ್ಟದ ಅವಕಾಶ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಮೇಲ್ಪಂಕ್ತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಆರಂಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ನಮಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಹೆಮ್ಮೆಯ ವಿಚಾರ. ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಇಡೀ ವಿಶ್ವವೇ ನೋಡುವಂಥ ಅರ್ನಾಬ್ ಗೋಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಇಂಥ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಬ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್, ಅವರ ಜೊತೆ ಒಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಿಕ್ಕಂಥ ಅವಕಾಶ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ನಮಗೆ ಒಂದು ಜರ್ನಲಿಸಮ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಅರ್ನಾಬ್ ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂಥ ಅವಕಾಶ. ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಹೇಳಿದಾಗಲೂ ಈಗ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬ ಬ್ಯಾಂಕರ್ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ನಮಗೆ ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತಂದರೆ, ಓಕೆ ಯಾರ ಜೊತೆ ನೀವು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ, ಈಗ ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ, ಓಕೆ ಇದೊಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ನಿಮ್ಗೇನು ತಿರುಗಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾನಂದ್ರೆ ನೋಡಿ, ನಾವು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ನಾಳೆಯಿಂದ ಅದನ್ನು ನೋಡಿ ನೀವು ಆಶೀರ್ವಾದ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಅದನ್ನು ನೋಡಿದ ನಂತರ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ನಾವು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅನ್ನೋ. ಒಂದಂತೂ ಭಾಳ ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟ, ನಾವು ಅದ್ಭುತಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ ನಾವು. ಅದೊಂದು ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ ಕೊಡಬಲ್ಲೆ ನಾನು, ಅರ್ನಾಬ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೂ ಕೊಡಬಲ್ಲೆ, ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಜನತೆಗೂ ಕೊಡಬಲ್ಲೆ, ಇಡೀ ದೇಶಕ್ಕೂ ಕೊಡಬಲ್ಲೆ.
Arnab, just to sort of sum up what both Smita and Shetty have said. Nation first, forces first. We say Rajya Modalu, Desha Modalu, and they are saying we'll keep Karnataka at the core, Karnataka first. And talking about the kind of journalism that Republic has done over the years, and especially about the kind of journalism that you are known for, Arnab, touching people. He was talking about, he gave an anecdotal experience of how he went to a bank and spoke to people, and the kind of impression they have about Republic, the brand, and the team that you lead, and the journalism that you do, and the different channels that we have launched. That's more or less what Smita and Shetty have said. And Nagendra Babu, heli namma kannadigarige naale what can they expect?
ಜನ ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡ ಅಂತ ಬರ್ತಿದ್ದಂಗೆನೆ ಈಗ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗೋಗಿದೆ, ಇದು ಪತ್ರಕರ್ತರೇ ಕಟ್ಟಿ ಬೆಳೆಸ್ತಾ ಇರುವಂತ ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಮೀಡಿಯಾ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್. ಒಬ್ಬ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಮನ್ ಒಂದು ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಒಬ್ಬ ಪೊಲಿಟಿಷಿಯನ್ ಒಂದು ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಬರಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವನು ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಪತ್ರಕರ್ತ ಯಾವಾಗಾದ್ರೂ ಒಂದು ಸಂಸ್ಥೆನ ಅಥವಾ ಒಂದು ಮೀಡಿಯಾ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕಟ್ತಾನೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಸಮಾಜದ ಪರವಾಗಿರ್ತಾನೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸ ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಸರ್. ಆ ವಿಶ್ವಾಸನ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು ವೀಕಿಂದ. ಅರ್ನಾಬ್ ಸರ್ದು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಸ್ಲೋಗನ್ ನಾನು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ವಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಟು ನೋ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಏಷಿಯನ್ ವಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಟು ನೋ, ಈಗ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಜನತೆ ಕೇಳ್ತಿದೆ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ವಾಂಟ್ಸ್ ಟು ನೋ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ನಮ್ಮ ಸುದ್ದಿ ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಸುದ್ದಿ ರೀತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾಟಕ ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮ ಸುದ್ದಿ ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಜನಪರವಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಜನರ ವಿರುದ್ಧವಾಗಿರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಂತ ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಡೋರು ನಾವು ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಬಿಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ನಾವು ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ. ಹಾಗಂತ ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಡೋನ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಒಳ್ಳೇದನ್ನ ಮಾಡೋರ್ನ, ನ್ಯಾಯದ ಹಾದಿಯಲ್ಲಿದ್ದವ್ರನ್ನ ನಾವು ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಗುರುತಿಸುವಂಥ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಸೆಲ್ಯೂಟನ್ನು ಹೊಡೆಯುವಂಥ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನವನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಇದು ನಮ್ಮ ಭರವಸೆ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡದ ಭರವಸೆ. ಇದು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಕೂಡ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಧ್ವನಿ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ನಾಳೆ ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ತೀರಾ, ಇದು ಪಿಕ್ಚರ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ನಾಳೆಯಿಂದ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಜನತೆ ಮುಂದೆ ಅಸಲಿ ಫಿಲಂ ಶುರುವಾಗುತ್ತೆ.
Think that the real story starts tomorrow speaks about following the Republic brand of journalism and the brand built by journalists. Arnab, this is something that you take pride in. We all take pride in that. We are perhaps the only media super brand in the world owned and operated by journalists, and the pride that each one of us in this newsroom takes in saying just that, not owned by a businessman or a corporate house, but run and operated by journalists. Chiru, Lokarpane Nale. Heli, what can people expect?
Thank you.
It's a big moment for all of us because I always felt that there has been a vacancy here in Kannada industry, Kannada news industry, that nobody, very less, at least I can say, very less people cover defense issues and many other nationalistic issues. But here in Kannada Republic, we are first in it, and we are doing best in it, and that is what I believe. Because ನಾನು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀನಿ, ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಏನೋ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ, ಏನು ಮಾಡೋದು, ಈ ಥರ ಬರೀ ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕ್ಸು, ಬರೀ ಸಿನಿಮಾ, ಬರೀ ಜ್ಯೋತಿಷ್ಯ, ಬರೀ ಅದು, ಬರೀ ಸಿನಿಮಾ, ಬರೀ ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಏನು ನಮಗೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶ ಯಾವಾಗ ಡಿಫೆನ್ಸ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನೋ, ಸೆಕ್ಯೂರಿಟಿ ಯಾವಾಗ ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನೋ, ಟೆರರಿಸಮ್, ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಕೂಡ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಫೌಂಡೇಶನಲ್. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಅದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಸಿನಿಮಾನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಎಂಟರ್ಟೈನ್ಮೆಂಟು ಇಲ್ಲ, ಜ್ಯೋತಿಷ್ಯನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಒನ್ಸ್ ಟೆರರಿಸ್ಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ದ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ ಅಂತೇಳಿ. ಸೊ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಕವರ್, ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ಕವರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಆಸ್ ಅ ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡ, ಅಂಡ್ ವಿಲ್ ಅಶ್ಯೂರ್ ದಟ್ ನಮಗೆ ದೇಶ ಮೊದಲು, ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ ರಾಜ್ಯ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ರಾಜ್ಯವು ನಮಗೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೋದು.
ಶ್ರೀಪಾದ್,
ಅರ್ನಬ್ ಸರ್ ಯಾವಾಗ ಸೆಪ್ಟೆಂಬರ್ 1ಗೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಬಂದು ಅನೌನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡ ಅತಿ ಶೀಘ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ ಮುಂದೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ, ಅವಾಗ ಒಂದು ಮಾತನ್ನ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಪೊಲಿಟಿಷಿಯನ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ, ಡೋಂಟ್ ಟ್ರೈ ಟು ಇನ್ಫ್ಲೂಯೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಸ್ ಅಂತ. ಅವಾಗ ಯಾವಾಗ ಆ ರೀತಿಯ ಒಂದು ಘೋಷಣೆ ಬಂತು, ನಮ್ಮ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಭ್ರಷ್ಟಾಚಾರದಲ್ಲೇ ಮುಳುಗಿರುವಂತಹ ರಾಜಕಾರಣಿಗಳು ಈಗ ನಡುಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಎವ್ರಿವನ್ ನೋ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಅಂಡ್ ವಾಟ್ಸ್ ದ ನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಕಾಂಪ್ರಮೈಸ್ ಇನ್ ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ನ್ಯೂಸ್. ಸರ್ ಕೂಡ ಅದನ್ನೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, 100% ನ್ಯೂಸ್, ನೋ ಕಾಂಪ್ರಮೈಸ್ ಅಟ್ ಆಲ್ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಈಗ ಭಯ ಶುರುವಾಗಿದೆ. ಯಾರು ಭ್ರಷ್ಟಾಚಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಳುಗಿದಾರೋ ರಾಜಕಾರಣಿಗಳು, ಅಂಥವ್ರಿಗೆ ಭಯ ಶುರುವಾಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. अरे अर्नब सर बेंगलुरु को आए और ऐसा बड़ा अनाउंसमेंट किया, हमारा क्या होने वाला है, सब्र रखिए, बहुत कुछ होने वाला है. 100% ನಾನ್ ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಭ್ರಷ್ಟಾಚಾರಿಗಳೇ ನಾಳೆಯಿಂದ ಇನ್ನಷ್ಟು ನಿಮ್ಮ ನಡುಕ ಜೋರಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ಅರ್ನಬ್ ಸರ್ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಅನೌನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ಪ್ರಕಾರವಾಗಿ ಬಹಳ ಪ್ರಖರವಾಗಿ, ನಿಖರವಾಗಿ, ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಪ್ರಾಮಾಣಿಕವಾಗಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮುಂದೆ ನಾವು ಹಾಜರಿರ್ತೀವಿ. ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡ ನಾಳೆಯಿಂದ ಅಧಿಕೃತವಾಗಿ ಲೋಕಾರ್ಪಣೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಇಡೀ ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಜನ ಬಹಳ ಎಕ್ಸೈಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡ ಎಷ್ಟು ಅದ್ಭುತವಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಮುಂದೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ನಂಬಿಕೆಯನ್ನ ನಾವು ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿಯೂ ಹುಸಿ ಹೋಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಬಿಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ನೀವು ನಿರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಮಾಡಿದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ನಾವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮುಂದೆ ಹಾಜರಾಗ್ತೀವಿ. ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿಯೂ ಅರ್ನಬ್ ಸರ್ ಅವರ ಮಾರ್ಗದರ್ಶನ ಮತ್ತು ನಿರಂಜನ್ ಸರ್ ಮಾರ್ಗದರ್ಶನ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಾವು 100ಕ್ಕೆ 100ರಷ್ಟು ರಾಜ್ಯದ ಮನಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿಯೂ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಥಾನವನ್ನ ಗಿಟ್ಟಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯ ಸಂಶಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಎಸ್.
Thank you, Shripad. So that's an assurance from the entire Republic Kannada team, Arnab, to the people of Karnataka that we will
Can I say
put
something
them
to
first. We will put the people first. Janateya Dhwani. Yes, absolutely. Yes, Arnab, please go ahead. Please go ahead. Yes, go ahead. Yes, Arnab, please go ahead.
I just want to say 2-3 things there. First of all, to you, Niranjan, and to the Republic. First of all, I want to say something to you and the Republic Kannada team. That for me, this is a dream that I am seeing come true before my very eyes. I'm so proud of you. And the reason we launched the Republic Media Network was that so a group of journalists could come together and serve the people. So I would say one thing to you first. We are here to serve the people with every new channel we launch, and we are here to serve the nation. So we are here to serve the people of Karnataka, and we are here to work in national interest. That is one thing. Secondly, Niranjan, I commend you and Taiba and the entire team there working in Bengaluru, everyone, Smita, Mr. Shetty, Nagendra Babu, and everyone else for doing such a quick launch. And third, please remember, 100% news, Niranjan. We are only doing news. We are not putting commercials of half an hour in the middle of content or viral videos. As long as we are true to our purpose, we will serve the people of Karnataka. That's the only reason we are there. And to the people of the country watching tonight, I just want you to savor this moment, because this, ladies and gentlemen, is India's only entirely technically and otherwise journalist-owned, journalist-run, journalist-managed network. And that's what makes us different. So thank you very much. Niranjan, all the best to you for tomorrow. Lots of love to you. And I'm sure that the people of Karnataka will be cheering for you as you begin your broadcast tomorrow and start this new journey in your professional lives. Thank you very much. Thank you, Niranjan. Best of luck to you. 3 cheers to you guys. 3 cheers to you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Arnab. Thank you, and congratulate us when we become number one. When we become number one. That is going to happen.
You're already number one in the hearts of the people of Karnataka. Ratings will follow. You are number one in the hearts of the people before your launch. You know that. Thank you. 3 cheers to us. Thank you, Niranjan.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, 10 hours 42 minutes to the launch of another Republic channel. And moving on, one thing has become very apparent and abundantly clear about India's foreign policy in the last month or so, and that is that India means the world. India can do the world a lot of good. India can be a very good friend to whoever it is in need. But at the same time, we are not a country to be trifled with. We're not a country to be messed with. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, our foreign policy is not to be taken lightly. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the iron fist in a velvet glove approach of the Modi foreign policy. Both sweet but also prickly as thorns if necessary with our enemies, depending on the intent and conduct of whichever other country may be. We're the only country at this point in time that could feasibly have built consensus at the G20. We're the only country that could have brought over 50 countries into the G20 fold all at once by giving permanent membership to the African Union. We're the only country that can realistically and meaningfully be the voice of the global South. And we are the only country that can legitimately lead consensus towards climate action. At the same time, we've called out today China once again, its border expansionism. Our brave Jawans giving the Chinese a bloody nose and inspiring with our actions a very large group of ASEAN countries. Just as well then that Anurag Thakur, MIB, Minister of Information and Broadcasting, decided to skip his visit to China for the 19th Asian Games after our athletes from Arunachal were denied visas. Ladies and gentlemen, let's debate.
India's global standing is at an all-time high.
आज भारत विश्व मित्र के रूप में अपनी जगह बना पाया है। पूरा विश्व भारत में अपना मित्र खोज रहा है। पूरा विश्व भारत की मित्रता को अनुभव कर रहा है।
The declaration and consensus at the G20, which many thought impossible. The inclusion of the African Union in the G20. The fact that world leaders are seeking India's permanent inclusion in the UNSC.
Portugal has defended that countries like Brazil and India become permanent members. This decision should be made. These countries cannot be ignored.
India is a friend of all, but let nobody misconstrue that as weakness. Like an iron fist in a velvet glove, Modi's India has given it back and held firm in the prickliest situations. From correcting narrow-minded viewpoints,
Europe has to grow out of the mindset that Europe's problems are the world's problems, but the world's problems are not Europe's problems.
To telling the most adamant world leaders the uncomfortable truth.
आज का युग युद्ध का है नहीं, और हमने फोन पर भी कई बार आपसे इस विषय में बात की है कि डेमोक्रेसी और डिप्लोमेसी और डायलॉग, ये सारी बातें ऐसी हैं कि जो दुनिया को एक स्पर्श करती है.
To never missing a chance to school Pakistan.
No democracy will acknowledge or accept talks when terror thrives. Stop terror to start talks.
To calling out expansionism.
विस्तारवाद का युग समाप्त हो चुका है. ये युग विकासवाद का है.
So when Canada attempts to shield anti-India activities in the garb of freedoms.
If there is any country, if you're talking about reputational issues and reputational damage, if there's any country that needs to look at this, I think it is Canada and its growing reputation as a place, as a safe haven for terrorists, for extremists and for organized crime.
Or when China mischievously blocks Indian athletes from Arunachal Pradesh participating in the Asian Games.
चाइना के इस तरह के हरकतों से अरुणाचल का कोई स्टेटस बदलने वाला नहीं है. अरुणाचल हमेशा से भारत का हिस्सा रहा है और रहने वाले हैं.
They'd best know India will not hesitate to flex its foreign policy muscles and put Bharat first. Let's debate.
Yeah, so just to open the debate, sorry for the delay in this, but Manasvi, Akashdeep and Vivek, simple question people will ask is, you've seen the way in which the Minister of Information and Broadcasting cancelled his visit. we're giving a very clear message to the Chinese. Why was this kind of stance, the straight, immediate stance, not taken before?
Arnab, if you permit, I just want to put two, three points here.
And then best wishes for Republic Kannada.
Thank you very much, Vivek. Thank you.
I think
Thank
we
you.
need to first congratulate
Akashdeep, go forward.
A new channel is coming, and I hope.
Yes,
I'm
I just
sure
want to put forward 2-3 points here, Arnab. The first point is that the Indian foreign policy towards China does not look as strong as it is with Pakistan. They show they prove a bloody nose to Pakistan while they don't act the similar manner with China. Just imagine our soldiers have been martyred against China. We have seen how Chinese incursions has come down to highest number in 2019 in comparison to lowest in 2007. Then also the foreign trade between India and China has increased. In 2020 it was $65 billion, while in 2021 it was $95 billion. It means that we have increased the trade with Chinese, and there is a trade deficit. There is a 50% trade deficit also. So while we import a huge amount from China and we export less, while they give us a strong, we all know that how economy is an important part of foreign policy, and we should use economy. And you should till now we should have banned Chinese trade till now. But I don't know why.
No, one minute. Let me because I've limited time on this. Because I've limited time on this. Akashdeep, I hear you there. Because I've limited time, I would let Sanju respond immediately to that.
Okay, Arnab, I just have this to say. This whole bogey about a trade deficit with China increasing. Point number one, under Atal Bihari Vajpayee in 2004, when he demitted office, our trade deficit with China was $1.3 billion. And when the Congress demitted office in 2014, our trade deficit had gone up to $38 billion. And today under the Modi government, the average trade deficit is $73 billion, which means under the Modi government, our average trade deficit went up by 95%, or under the UPA, Congress-led UPA, from 2004 to 2014, the average trade deficit went up by 2,600% plus. Point number one. Point number two, don't forget that ridiculous. It was thanks to the...
It's ridiculous.
Can I please finish, Vivek? Can I please finish? Then you can rebut me. Point number two, each time the Congress talks about China,
we were not having skirmishes with China at that time.
I want to... Arnab, this is not fair. I did not heckle Vivek.
Let her complete and I'll come to you, Vivek. Vivek, let her complete and I'll come to you because I've limited time. I'm going one quickly, please. Thank you, Vivek. Please cooperate. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Sure. I just want this to tell the viewers of Republic, and by the way, congratulations on Republic Kannada, Arnab. I just want to tell your viewers that forget the 38,000 square kilometers that Nehru handed on a golden platter to the Chinese in Aksai Chin, and then told one of his leaders, so what if we've handed Aksai Chin? Not a blade of grass grows there. Be that as it may, even as recently as 2013, and AK Antony is on record admitting this.
Why did you talk of 2023 for a change? It is the same old story in 1962.
अभी आगे बढ़ रहे हो, please Vivek.
You have no facts today actually. So you are reverting back to the old.
You congratulate
you are not talking anything about 2023. It is Congress, 2011, 1962.
G20 की बात करो.
It was a failed summit. It was a failed summit.
I say one thing.
The Chinese and the Russians.
It was a brilliant summit. You are obviously living in your ivory tower.
Did not participate.
No wonder you are reduced to power in one state, Kerala.
Questioning your human rights.
भाई साहब, आपकी पार्टी को जनता ने उखाड़ के फेंक दिया है.
All the three superpowers.
The left has lost its political
Joe Biden
in India.
But there's a Vivek, Sanju, let me come in with a question here, please. Thank you, Vivek. Let me come in with a question. Let me come in with a question, please.
And now Canada.
Let me come in with a question. Let me come in. I just want to. I just want to say that I am very proud of the way our government is giving it back to Canada. And I think we should all support that. As far as the opposition is concerned, I was horrified at the way in which Rahul Gandhi was singing praises for China, how wonderful China is, what a great vision China has. They have got a vision, they have got a Belt and Road initiative, we should be so proud of them. I don't believe, he's sounding like a Chinese Politburo member in Brussels.
Failed initiative. The Belt Road Initiative has more than 400 billion
But having said that, I'd like to get Manasvi and Saurav's back. Yeah, Manasvi.
Yeah. The Kathni and Karni is clearly a very big difference. You may say that the sports minister did not go there, but at the same time, we are giving an open space for China to do business in India. In an Atmanirbhar Bharat, why do we need China? We can just simply say no to China for any kind of trade. The Sone ki Chidiya does not need China. Why do we have a difference of opinion when it comes to China? We can simply say that why does China has a need to do business in India? Why don't they go back to China? There is no space for China in India to do business. They murder our soldiers. There is no diplomatic relationship with China, but we are okay to do business with China. Why are we okay to do business with China? All-time high business with China is going on, and we are only proud of the fact that the sports minister did not go there. We have to be over and above sports minister. We have to come on the economical path. They are hurting our borders, and we want to do. They're hurting our soldiers and borders, and we want to do business with them. We cannot do any business with them. There has to be no business. There has to be no business policy in China. Why do we say there is no business in China? There has to be no business policy in China. We cannot tolerate a China product in India. In 2023, we cannot tolerate
Why did Rahul Gandhi go to Brussels and praise China? Chinese economy is not going to grow at more.
One minute. I'd like to Manasvi, can I? Manasvi, 1 minute. Don't speak over each other, please. Manasvi, 1 minute. Saurabh Shukla, editor-in-chief of News Mobile. Editor-in-chief of News Mobile on what the sports and MIB minister's cancellation of the visit to China for the Asian Games indicates. Saurabh.
Yeah, Arnab, there are 3 points. One, it sends a clear message to China that this is a new India that they're dealing with. This is a new India which will take China on its own terms. Our muscular diplomacy has been working very well. Which was the country which banned TikTok? Even America has been debating whether to ban TikTok or not. India went ahead and banned TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
That is a message that went out of India. Your Manasvi and others, some of them, you're talking about.
No, I think it was a big message.
India, absolutely. That was a big message that broke the back of the backers of the Chinese PLA who were behind that company. India had the courage to do that. That was the message that went out.
Can I go in, Saurabh? Can I correct you, Saurabh?
India will go ahead and do it. The other thing, when it comes to, just hear me out. When it comes to India's foreign policy, it's a foreign policy which works for global good, but will not shy away from demonstrating its spine, whether it's Canada or China. India has done that. When it comes to persuasion, it will do that. It will make sure it will bring out a Delhi declaration at G20 with consensus. But don't mistake India's civility. Just hear me out, my friend. Just hear me out. This is a new India. That's what I'm trying to say.
The Modi government forced China to voluntarily disengage from Taiwan in February 2021, showing one country which has managed to force China to voluntarily disengage.
Manasvi.
I am saying ban everything.
Manasvi.
Modi government forced China to voluntarily
listen.
disengage in February 2021.
Manasvi, listen.
They hit our soldiers. Claim our territory as their territory. We are saying in ban TikTok, we have to ban China.
Can you not speak over each other?
It's 2020.
1 minute. 1 minute, gentlemen. Sanju up, others down. I'll come to each other one after the other, please. Sanju.
What have I done? I have barely spoken, Arnab. Why are you shouting at me?
No, I'm saying 1 minute, Sanju, complete your point. That's what I said. I think you heard me wrong.
Famous whipping boy.
No, I think you didn't even hear me. I said, Sanju, complete your point. I was asking him to be quiet, and I was saying one after the other, we'll go at each other. Now you're making me the whipping boy here. Sanju, yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Arnab. Then maybe in the cacophony, I misheard you. My apologies. Yeah, because I seem to be the opposition's favorite whipping boy. I'm not even using the phrase whipping girl. Anyway. But be that as it may, you know, with no offense to Manasri, and forget the 38,000 square kilometers which Nehru handed over in accession to the Chinese. वो तो भी पुरानी बात हो चुकी है. I just want to say this. China shares a border with at least 14 countries. China has territorial problems with at least 18 nations. Not in its recent history, not for the longest time, Manasri, you will admit, China has ever bothered to voluntarily disengage. But in February 2021, thanks, you can call it Modi's muscular policy or you can call it what have you. The Chinese were forced to voluntarily disengage post Galwan.
Can I respond?
Show me one country which has managed to do that. Just 20 seconds more. Do you know the first Apple product came out in India? It was the Macintosh computer in 1987. After 36 years, finally Apple opened a full-fledged store, and today, you know, 10% of Apple's smartphones are being not assembled but manufactured in India. Earlier, this privilege belonged only to the Chinese, and I'm told, given the success of our PLI policy, in the next 3 years, 40% of Apple smartphones, the iPhone, will be built, manufactured, and not merely assembled in India. That is Modi's policy, where he combines the best of economy and foreign policy to take on expansionist power like China.
Can I respond now? Sanju, you're very right.
I would like to hear the other side.
Biggest land grabber of the world. It is a known fact. And we cannot go soft on China. That is what we are trying to say. We cannot say we banned TikTok, we moved Apple out of it. We have to have a no China policy. It is not a very big deal in 2023. The world's largest population is India. The world's largest internet users are India. The world's largest smartphone users are India. Indians are everywhere in the world, and we are saying we have only banned TikTok.
I wish you see. 1 minute, Sanju. I now want to come in. I want to come in here. I want to come in here. I want to come in here for a minute. For a minute, Sanju. 1 minute, Manasvi, listen. One minute. Manasvi, listen. Saurabh can explain this. So Saurabh can explain this better than me. I'll just give him a 10-second cue. For 7 decades, you ruined our manufacturing base. You did not build our pharmaceutical products, our drug manufacturing capability. You ruined Indian PSUs by opening up to Chinese drug imports. You check what happened in the early 90s, mid 90s. We were unprepared. We just bought basic generic all drugs from China. We destroyed large Indian PSUs also. We compromised our borders. And now you come and say overnight, oh, why don't you stop all trade relations with China? Well, because it's going to take us another 5 to 10 years. 5 to 10 years of infrastructure and manufacturing building to come to that situation. Saurabh can explain to you, but we will get there. We will get there. We will undo the damage that you've done to us. We will change things. Saurabh is on the debate. We will change things.
There is something. Just hear me out, my friend. There is something called the scale-down approach. There is a way in which this is being done. China, just hear me out. Just hear me out. After that investment of the policy of Vajpayee government. There's a scale-down approach which is happening. China is consistently getting a message politically, economically, that they are getting isolated. You cannot overnight snap ties with China because there are trade links which were established. You have to establish a supplier base here. You have to create a semiconductor assembly.
Okay, next debate.
Here. This is what is happening.
I think, ladies and gentlemen.
In 10 seconds, 15 seconds more. Just 10 seconds.
No, I have to go into a break, ladies and gentlemen. I just think I have to go into a short break at that point. Because the Supreme Court has issued notice to those who made the anti-Sanatan comments, and we'll have more on that after a 30-second secured commercial break.
In the global employability rankings by Times Higher Education UK, only the following 6 institutions from India are ranked amongst the top 230 in the world for having the most employable graduates. IIT Delhi, IISc Bangalore, IIT Bombay, IIM Ahmedabad, IIT Kharagpur and Amity University.
Karnataka's most awaited news channel is going to be available live across India tomorrow. Now we here at the Republic family are delighted to announce that Republic Kannada will be going live. That starts at 9 a.m. tomorrow, that is Saturday. The Republic Media Network, ladies and gentlemen, is storming the Karnataka market quite literally because it's going to become the only...
And ladies and gentlemen, this whole month, the India Alliance members, one after the other, kept abusing. They kept abusing Sanatan Dharma. They were openly asking for the eradication of Hinduism and equating Hinduism to various diseases and other such things. And they thought they could get away with it, but I'm delighted that the Supreme Court has now sent them notices. Let's debate.
It's been 20 days since the India Alliance launched an all-out attack on Sanatan Dharma. And with each day, the slander and mockery of the Hindu faith has escalated.
Those who are living Indians in other countries also propagating caste in the name of Hindu religion. So Hindu religion is a biggest menace not only to India, now it is a menace to the entire world.
नारी शक्ति वंदन अधिनियम, मुझे तो समझ में नहीं आया कि ये लेजिस्लेशन है या किसी तरह का धार्मिक ग्रंथ की एक उसका शीर्षक है.
Now, a plea in the Supreme Court has sought an FIR against Stalin Jr. and others for hate speech.
Today, Supreme Court has issued notice to the state government as well as to all the parties who have been made, who are parties in the writ petition. And the writ petition was filed to declare that the conference held to eradicate Sanatana Dharma as unconstitutional, and also to register FIRs against the persons who made those speeches and to restrain them from making future speeches also.
I.N.D.I.Ali DMK has given a hint as to what its response is going to be like.
Let them say what is Sanatana Dharma. We have evidences that Sanatana Dharma includes Manu Dharma. We are against Manu Dharma. That's all. We want everybody to be treated on par. So let us meet in the court and we will reply in the court.
But whatever the political imperatives are, the Sanatanis have had enough.
कुछ लोग सनातन धर्म के नाम पर छींटाकशी कर रहे हैं. कोई सनातन धर्म को जातिवादी बताता है, कोई सनातन धर्म में भेदभाव दिखाता है, कोई सनातन के ग्रंथों में दोष दिखाता है. हमारे वेद शास्त्र में और सभी प्रकार के हमारे सनातन के ग्रंथों में किसी भी प्रकार का कोई दोष नहीं है. हम सब में एक ही ब्रह्म, एक ही परमात्मा को देखते हैं.
There can be no more free run to hate mongering against Hinduism and Sanatan. Let's debate.
Dr. Suresh Mane, I think there should be lessons in this because there are various people who are building Hindu hate and then they take these excuses, oh no, we are for social justice. No, I don't think so. I think if you're for social justice, then you should speak about other religions too and what happened in other religions. And you should speak about the social reform in Hinduism. And just because some people have chosen to not be Hindus anymore and move to another religion does not give them, they have a right to not be Hindus, but you don't have a right to abuse Hindus. And this distinction is to be made. I think I'm very happy that the Supreme Court has issued notice. Your first thoughts on this, Suresh Mane, please, who is the founder and president of the Bahujan Republican Socialist Party. Dr. Mane.
Thank you. Arnab, thank you. Now the SC has given the notice to the Tamil Nadu government. And the Tamil Nadu government will respond appropriately, explaining what they do mean, what the Junior Stalin has spoken about the Sanatana Dharma, because Tamil Nadu sociologically they have a different tradition, which is anti-Vedic tradition. That is the tradition cultivated by the Periyar and Annadurai, and therefore they have their own social orientation about the social reforms, about the religion, and they will explain before the Supreme Court. And if the Supreme Court thinks fit and proper, it will accept. Otherwise, Supreme Court will issue the appropriate direction. Nothing wrong about it. But as those who are now, who have come before the media and the whole world as the protagonists of the Sanatan Dharma, they should at least define what is the total ambit of the Sanatan Dharma and what it means actually. If they explain it, what the Sanatan Dharma means, and then only it will be possible for the Supreme Court also. So both the sides will have to explain their position, and that is the good for the debate and good for the knowledge also in this country.
May I come in order?
I'll get Sanju before you, because I will come to you, Sanju. Just let me get a first word in from Ratan Sharda to quickly respond to this. Do you agree with this interpretation of the Supreme Court notice, or do you view this differently? Dr. Ratan Sharda.
No, I have a lot of issues. First of all, Supreme Court said on 28th August that if there is any hate speech, police should take immediate action, should not so much action without waiting for even FIR to be filed. On 15 September, 262 eminent citizens wrote a letter to Supreme Court asking for action against Zanidhi Maran, but Supreme Court refused to take an action. So now on 22nd 9, Supreme Court has finally taken cognizance of a complaint filed by a citizen. So where is the SOP of no FIR required to file a case? That is my first pain. Second is, has people like Mane ever raised question about any other religion and asking them to go to Supreme Court and get the clarification? Why the religions need to go on street and be the pulp out of the people, sartan se juda, and not wait for the Supreme Court judgment? So this cannot be one-way street that Hindu should always carry the cross of secularism and tolerance, when people keep on abusing the very basis of this nation, which is Sanatan. And you speak of 100 years of a so-called tradition of EVR and Annadurai, but you don't talk of... Wait, aapne bol liya, let me speak. So you speak of 100 years at least tradition, but 5,000 year tradition has no meaning for you. So all the people in below who were following Sanatan Dharma for 100 and 1,000 years, you will question them. Then who are you? Why are you here? If you can't give an opinion, don't come here to give lectures. Either you give your opinion, you say whether you are right or wrong.
We must untouchability.
Tomorrow,
you are going to receive the body blows.
Something about Dr. Ambedkar,
if your Sanatan Dharma consists of the caste untouchability, discrimination and oppression, exploitation and persecution, then why you people are being hurt? If your Sanatan Dharma don't recognize the caste, untouchability, discrimination, oppression, exploitation, persecution, why you people are worried about such dharma then? That is not your dharma.
You see
why you are worried about
it? I wish to bring in.
If your dharma don't recognize the caste,
Mr. Ratan Sharda,
discrimination, oppression, persecution, why you are
Mr. Ratan Sharda and Suresh Mane. Suresh Mane and Mr. Ratan Sharda, may I, Dr. Mane, before I come to Sanju, make one small point from my side? Can I make one small point from my side, and then Sanju also wants to respond to you, sir. Sanju, back on it. 1 second. I wish to make a point, Dr. Mane, and thank you, Ratan Sharda. Thank you, Ratan Sharda ji. Ratan Sharda ji. It's not a question of you people and we people. My God, I mean, I must intervene in this debate. Okay, let me bring in Sanju Verma to respond to Suresh Mane, please. Thank you. Sanju Verma.
Okay, thank you, Arnab. I did not interject Mr. Mane, so I'm sure he will extend the courtesy to me. You know, the entire narrative by Udayanithi Stalin or beat A. Raja, please Mr. Mane, Udayanithi Stalin or beat A. Raja of the DMK or beat K.S. Adagiri of the Congress or beat T.R. Balu of the DMK, when they were asked why did you say Sanatan Dharma should be eradicated, what did each one of them say, Arnab? They very conveniently said, हम सनातन धर्म के बारे में बात नहीं कर रहे हैं. We are not criticizing Hinduism or Sanatan Dharma. We are criticizing the caste-based hierarchy.
No, are you supporters of the Sanatan Dharma first?
Please keep quiet.
Are you supporters of the Sanatan Dharma?
Mr.
Are you supporter of Sanatan Dharma?
Can you show some decency?
No, are you supporter of Sanatan Dharma? Please clarify your position.
Can you show some
Please clarify your position. Are you supporter of Sanatan Dharma? Are you supporter of Sanatan Dharma?
Yes, I am, sir. I am, sir. I am a supporter. 1 minute. There is no need for a clarification. I am a follower and a believer of Sanatan Dharma, sir.
I am not saying Hindu.
And along with 100 crore Hindus, we are.
Are you supporter of Sanatan Dharma?
Don't try and differentiate between Sanatan Dharma and Hinduism. I am a believer in Sanatan Dharma. 100 crore Indians are more than 80% of the population of Tamil Nadu is also. Sanju is on the debate. Sanju is on the debate. Sanju is on the debate. Dr. Mane, don't stop us. Sanju is on the debate. Let's have the debate now. 3, 2 versus 1. Sanju, please. Please, Sanju, now.
From the Hinduism.
Are you a Buddhist? Are you a baptized Christian? I am telling you, I am a practicing Hindu. Who the hell are you? What is your religion?
If you equate the Hindu Dharma with the Sanatan Dharma,
what is your religion? Are you a Buddhist?
You are damaging the Hindu
practicing Hindu?
by equating the Sanatan Dharma with the Hinduism.
Or are you a baptized Christian? I don't need lessons in Hinduism from dogle and dhakosle baz like you. Now, Arnab, I need to get my time because I did not interrupt this man.
Oh, please, now, come on.
We are not here to teach you.
Arnab, this is not fair.
We are not here to teach you. If you are the upholder of the Sanatan
Dr. Mane, I request you to let her speak because she completely listened to you, sir. She listened to you. Calm down, everyone. She listened to you, sir. Let her complete a response to you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Arnab, I just have this to say to Udayanithi Stalin because Mr. Mane is not important. I want to ask Udayanithi Stalin and I want to ask A. Raja. I have said this in the past, but I will keep repeating it till I get a response. If A. Raja does not believe in caste hierarchy, why on earth, why the hell has A. Raja been contesting the last 3 Lok Sabha elections from Nilgiris, which is the reserved constituency for scheduled caste? I want A. Raja to tell us, is he a practicing Hindu? Is he a converted crypto-Christian? Is he a baptized Christian? Jawab do, A. Raja. Is Udayanithi Stalin a crypto-Christian? Jawab do. Is M.K. Stalin a crypto-Christian? Because he says, I'm an atheist.
No, don't repeat
I love this. People say we are atheists. Or atheist के गाँव में you want to attack Sanatan Dharma, अब नहीं चलेगा.
Don't repeat the
अब नहीं चलेगा. चुप हो जाओ. रोना बंद करो. अब नहीं. अरे I'm telling you, I'm a Hindu. What are you? Are you a Buddhist? Are you a practicing Hindu?
Sanatan Dharma
Are you a crypto-Christian? जवाब दो. Are you a converted Christian? Did you sell your religion for a bag of rice? Did you sell your religion for a bag of rice? जवाब दो. Are you a rice bag convert? Are you a rice bag convert? जवाब दो.
No, 1 minute. No personal attacks there. No personal attacks there. Sanju, don't do that. Sanju, not necessary. Sanju, not necessary. Please, let's remain on the subject. What I'm saying to you, sir. No, Sanju, don't do that. Sanju, don't do that. Sanju, such descriptions are not necessary. I want to ask you, Mr. Suresh Mane. Mr. Suresh Mane, listen to me, sir. Listen to me.
Why don't you ask him what his religion is? I said I'm a practicing Hindu.
Can I just ask him what I want to ask him, Sanju, and not have you prompting me? Let me ask him what I want to ask him because I have a more pertinent question for him. You see, Dr. Mane, see here. Whatever your religion, sir, and I'm not asking you what your religion is. I will not abuse your religion. You don't abuse mine. Point 1. Point number 2. So I'm fundamentally clear on this. I cannot abuse your religion by trying to create a divide between parts of your religion, faiths in your religion, nuances within your religion, and try and attack you for it. So when you say, are you Sanatani or Hindu? I am a Hindu and a Sanatani, and all Sanatanis are Hindus and all Hindus are Sanatanis. Don't try to make this divide. I am against Hindutva, not Hinduism. Third point, very clearly, Dr. Mane, you know the mistake you're making.
Gandhi. Arnab,
you know the mistake you're making. I'll tell you the mistake you're making. Have the courage to listen to me. Have the courage to listen to me, sir. Have the courage to listen to me. I will go back 5,000 years. Why only to Mahatma Gandhi? I will say this to you, sir. I'll tell you one thing, sir. I would just say this. Dr. Mane, listen. Dr. Mane, Sanju, one line to him, please, if I may. One line to him. Without anger towards you, with compassion towards you, I want to say. I want to be compassionate to you, Dr. Mane. Please listen to me. I just want to be compassionate to you, Dr. Mane, empathetic and compassionate to you. My only point to you, sir, is my religion, Sanju, please, Sanju, let me make my point to it. No, I want to make... Ladies and gentlemen, I will only say this, as a student of social anthropology and sociology, that India's Vedic tradition cannot be interpreted by French and British social anthropologists who have put their version of caste on their understanding of Indian society. It is the French and British sociologists and social anthropologists who tried to define India by caste and Hinduism by caste. They will never succeed, and they cannot define my country's identity. They cannot define Hindu culture and Hindu history either. This is a debate. I hope the Supreme Court acts to stop this kind of hate speech. I thank you all for joining me. Ladies and gentlemen, proud to tell you once again that we are 10 hours, 4 minutes away from the launch of Republic Kannada. I seek your blessings and your support. I'll see you after the weekend. Good night and goodbye.
In the global employability rankings by Times Higher Education UK, only the following 6 institutions from India are ranked amongst the top 230 in the world for having the most employable graduates. IIT Delhi, IISc Bangalore, IIT Bombay, IIM Ahmedabad, IIT Kharagpur and Amity University.
ನಾಡು ನುಡಿ ನೆಲ ಜಲ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ ಹಿಂದೆ ಹೆಜ್ಜೆ ಇಡೋ ಮಾತೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ದೇಶದ ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ರಾಜಿ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮದು ಸಂವಿಧಾನದ 4ನೇ ಅಂಗ. ನಾಟಕ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಸಲ್ಲದನ್ನ ಹೇಳಲ್ಲ, ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದನ್ನ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದಾಗೆ, ಸುದ್ದಿಯನ್ನ ಸುದ್ದಿಯಂತೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮುಂದೆ ತೆರೆದಿಡ್ತೀವಿ. ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಡೋರನ್ನ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಬಿಡಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಂತ ನ್ಯಾಯದ ಹಾದಿಯಲ್ಲಿದ್ದವರನ್ನ ಗುರುತಿಸಿ ಸಲ್ಯೂಟ್ ಹೊಡೆಯೋದನ್ನು ಮರೆಯೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ಶುರು ಮಾಡೋಣ ನೇರ ಮಾತು, ಕಣ್ಣಲ್ಲಿ ಕಣ್ಣಿಟ್ಟು. ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡ, ಇದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಧ್ವನಿ.
Karnataka's most awaited news channel is going to be available live across India tomorrow. Now, we here at the Republic family are delighted to announce that Republic Kannada will be going live. That starts at 9 a.m. tomorrow, that is Saturday. The Republic Media Network, ladies and gentlemen, is storming the Karnataka market quite literally, because it's going to become the only Kannada channel that's going to put its focus on 100% news. Something that is such an important ingredient in today's day and time. And the motto is going to be Karnataka first, nation first focus with people at its core. So do not miss the launch of Republic Kannada. On the bottom of your screens, you already see that entire counter building up to what's going to be a news revolution, quite literally, in the state of Karnataka.
Karnataka's most awaited news channel will be available live across India tomorrow. We are delighted to announce that Republic Kannada will be going live at 9 a.m. on Saturday. Republic Media Network is storming the Karnataka market as it becomes the only Kannada channel that puts out a 100% news guarantee with Karnataka first.
Motorola, India's best 5G smartphone brand.
अरुणाचल के खिलाड़ी जो एशियन गेम्स में जाने वाले थे उनको वीज़ा देने से रोका। सबसे पहले तो मैं इसका खंडन करता हूं और चाइना के इस तरह के हरकतों से अरुणाचल का कोई स्टेटस बदलने वाला नहीं है। अरुणाचल हमेशा से भारत का हिस्सा रहा है और रहने वाले हैं।
ನಾಡು ನುಡಿ ನೆಲ ಜಲ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಾಗ ಹಿಂದೆ ಹೆಜ್ಜೆ ಇಡೋ ಮಾತೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ದೇಶದ ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ರಾಜಿ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮದು ಸಂವಿಧಾನದ 4ನೇ ಅಂಗ. ನಾಟಕ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಸಲ್ಲದನ್ನ ಹೇಳಲ್ಲ, ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದನ್ನ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದಾಗೆ, ಸುದ್ದಿಯನ್ನ ಸುದ್ದಿಯಂತೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮುಂದೆ ತೆರೆದಿಡ್ತೀವಿ. ತಪ್ಪು ಮಾಡೋರನ್ನ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಬಿಡಲ್ಲ. ಹಾಗಂತ ನ್ಯಾಯದ ಹಾದಿಯಲ್ಲಿದ್ದವರನ್ನ ಗುರುತಿಸಿ ಸಲ್ಯೂಟ್ ಹೊಡೆಯೋದನ್ನು ಮರೆಯೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ಶುರು ಮಾಡೋಣ. ನೇರ ಮಾತು, ಕಣ್ಣಲ್ಲಿ ಕಣ್ಣಿಟ್ಟು. ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡ, ಇದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಧ್ವನಿ.
ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡ ಹೊಸತನದ ಬದಲಾವಣೆಯ ಚಳವಳಿಗೆ ನಾಂದಿ ಹಾಡಲಿದೆ. ಯಾವ ಭಾಷೆಯೇ ಆಗಿರಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಚಾನೆಲ್ ಪ್ರಸಾರ ಅಲ್ಲಿನ ಜನರ ಮೇಲೆ ನೇರ ಪರಿಣಾಮ ಬೀರುತ್ತದೆ ಹಾಗೂ ಅತಿ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಬದಲಾವಣೆ ತರುತ್ತದೆ. ನಮಗೆ ದೇಶವೇ ಮೊದಲು. ದೇಶಕ್ಕಿಂತ ದೊಡ್ಡದು ನಮಗೆ ಯಾವುದೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಪ್ರಥಮ ಆದ್ಯತೆಯೇ ದೇಶದ ಒಗ್ಗಟ್ಟು. ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯ ಜನರಿಗೆ ಧ್ವನಿ ಆಗಿರುವುದೇ ನಮ್ಮ ಅತಿ ದೊಡ್ಡ ನಂಬಿಕೆ. ನಮ್ಮದು ಕೇವಲ ಒಂದು ಚಾನೆಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಮದು ಒಂದು ಚಳವಳಿ. ರಾಜ್ಯ ಮೊದಲು, ದೇಶ ಮೊದಲು. ರಿಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ಕನ್ನಡ, ಇದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಧ್ವನಿ.
Karnataka's most awaited news channel is going to be available live across India tomorrow. Now, we here at the Republic family are delighted to announce that Republic Kannada will be going live. That starts at 9 a.m. tomorrow, that is Saturday. The Republic Media Network, ladies and gentlemen, is storming the Karnataka market quite literally because it's going to become the only Kannada channel that's going to put its focus on 100% news. Something that is such an important ingredient in today's day and time. And the motto is going to be Karnataka first, nation first focus with people at its core. So do not miss the launch of Republic Kannada. On the bottom of your screens, you already see that entire counter building up to what's going to be a news revolution, quite literally, in the state of Karnataka.
Karnataka's most awaited news channel will be available live across India tomorrow. We are delighted to announce that Republic Kannada will be going live at 9 a.m. on Saturday. Republic Media Network is storming the Karnataka market as it becomes the only Kannada channel that puts out a 100% news guarantee with Karnataka first, nation first focus with people.
From the Delhi studios of Republic TV, it's time for Arnab.